Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris, Lee,
and Sean.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's Tuesday. We don't normally do this, but it was kind of big news.
Yeah, eventually, Williams have now finally told us who's going to be in their car next year.
Yeah, of course they had to do it on a Tuesday with us recording the main part of the show on Mondays.
Tuesday morning as well.
Yeah.
Literally 12 hours maybe after you'd finished recording the main podcast.
Yeah.
Typical.
Sod's law.
Thanks, Williams.
Yes. At least they sent the press release through, which is more than Renault usually do.
Ah.
Because we usually get theirs in French.
I was going to say, do Renault not normally send theirs in French?
Yes.
Then you get a load of French spam to go with it.
Oh, yeah, that's great. We love that. So, basically, yeah, it is Sirotkin, but Kubica is going to be the reserve driver for next season.
Yeah, Sirotkin, not really a surprise. I think everyone's known about that for weeks. They just have taken a long time to get round to telling us about that. Kubica, that's slightly newer news. I think that's only really come out in the last week or so.
Yeah, because it looked up to round about end of the first week of this month that it was going to be De Resta keeping his job. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, De Resta turns up in the Formula E rookie test.
And also in United Autosport's other car.
Oh,
at,
yes.
Daytona.
He's not Lando Nando.
No, he's with Bruno Senna and somebody
people.
else.
And of course he's doing the season with the DTM season with Mercedes, with it being their last one.
We expect so. I don't think that's quite
No, I think he's confirmed that, but that was from the Daily Express, so whether you want to take that or not. Another thing that he said in his interview was he's known since mid-December that he was out of the running, and they're claiming that he said it's all down to money, and to be honest, I don't believe a word that they say. So, I mean, how do we think Sirotkin's going to do this season?
I don't think he'll be bad. I don't think he's going to be a great signing. I think he'll do the job.
The thing is, though, what is the job? Is it to be not quite as good as Lance Stroll? Is it to be somebody who scores more points than a number 2 driver should do? I've heard people saying that this is the worst Williams lineup that they can remember. Possibly,
yes. Yeah, they did have Maldonado at one time, though. So.
Yeah, but he's still the last driver to win a race for him.
That is true. I think they would probably tell you the job is they want consistency, which is something that he did do in GP2. He finished 3rd 2 seasons in a row, and he's only got something like 3 race wins. He's just very there or thereabouts.
Bland? Grey?
Bland, I think, is in the nicest way possible. He's a bit bland. It was interesting, the press release, the first one they sent out, the one announcing Sirotkin, they spent longer talking about what Lance Stroll did last season than talking about anything Sirotkin's done in GP2. And they also, the quotes that they attributed, they put quotes from Stroll and from Sirotkin, Stroll's being first and twice as long.
Money talks.
It does.
And Sirotkin isn't bringing in quite as much money as Stroll,
apparently
so he doesn't get to talk as much. The Kubica decision.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting because he's only had 2 sessions in a current car. One for Renault, one for Williams.
Yes.
And the story goes, because times didn't get released, that he was struggling with the Pirelli tyres in qualifying simulations. Uh-huh. Do we think that he's going to get a few Friday mornings?
Yes, they said that in the press release.
Right, I haven't actually had a chance to read it.
Yes. No, they've said he's going to be very active. They said he's going to do some Friday sessions. He's going to do some pre-season testing. He's going to do some of the in-season tests, whenever they are. I can't remember off the top of the head.
I think there's one after Spain and one at the end of the season.
That sounds about right. But yeah, no, they have said he is going to be in the car.
So this could be getting him used to the way that F1 is these days, building the strength up in his arm, and maybe pushing for. Well, I don't know. Is it pushing for something next year? Because apparently the Sirotkin deal, the story is it's multi-year.
Yeah, I think I've seen 2-year mentioned. I don't think they've said officially, but
yeah, Stroll's there until the money runs out.
Yeah, I think this is it. I think it serves 2 purposes keeping Kubica in the team. It allows them to give him a bit more time, see how the arm is, see if they can get him up to speed with Pirelli and give him more time in the car. But it also keeps him in reserve if one of these 2 drivers who were a bit about doesn't pan out this year.
It's going to be It's going to be interesting. Well, thanks for doing this with us, Sean.
You're welcome.
We'll go and...
I will leave you to talk about what you talked about yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to travel back in time to last night, and this isn't a jump cut, I promise. And I think the next thing I say is what's coming up on the show. Cheers. Coming up on this week's show, we've got the potential of a Danish Grand Prix by 2020.
Yeah, we'll also be talking about the potential for the messages on the Halos.
We've got unexpected news about a Ferrari driver.
We've got the latest on the Renault Driver Academy.
There's also something about F1's new logo potentially getting them into trouble.
Oh, we also pay tribute to Dan Gurney, who died this week.
And then we've got your regular features like A Total Shunt.
We're going to bring you up to date on all the latest stuff in Formula E.
So we all feeling good this week?
Not bad.
Yeah, not at all bad.
Feeling pretty good.
Just still lacking in Formula 1, 2 months away.
But we're sounding good as well, aren't we?
Sounding different.
It could be these new pop shields that we've got.
And that's what it is.
Inside baseball.
Behind the scenes with 3 legs, 4 wheels.
Inside baseball, it's like cork wound up with string.
Newspaper, I thought it was.
Old handbags or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Tobacco, chewing tobacco. That's where it all goes.
The dreams of real sports.
No, don't be silly. I watched the baseball game last season. Mm-hmm. And
You watched 80 minutes of adverts.
Well, I say I watched the baseball game. It was on TV, and they just kept cutting to the dugout where all the players were. And I have never seen so many snacks in one place in my life. This place looked like they dropped a cash and carry into the flipping dugout. There was like buckets of chewing gum. You would not believe professional sportsmen would get through so many crisps in one game.
Well,
Chips for our American
You
listeners.
just said sportsman there.
Yeah, but we're going back to the calling dart players athletes. So.
Yeah.
But we're here to do a Formula 1 podcast, and at the moment they don't
Less.
do that in the pit lane just yet.
Less about Yankee cricket.
Rounders. What should we talk about instead? What have you written down here? F1 Danish Grand Prix by 2020.
That's what Chase Carey wants. Well, allegedly.
Did he say he wants a Danish Grand Prix or he wants a Danish?
No, he's actually been to Copenhagen to discuss a possibility of
getting a Danish.
Of getting a Danish Grand Prix by the year 2020, which sounds strange because Denmark you don't think of as a country that would have a huge following of Formula 1. Yes, they have half a driver in Formula 1, but they... Well, come on. It's not this podcast if we're not bashing the Scandinavian drivers, is it?
Half drivers.
Half drivers. When K-Mag was at McLaren and Ron was desperate for him to, sort of stay on or go elsewhere, you remember Ron actually went on a mission to Denmark to find him sponsorship.
Went on a tour of Lego and Bacon, didn't he?
Yeah. Lego, do you want to sponsor Kevin Magnussen? No. Damn. Danepak, do you want to sponsor Kevin Magnussen? No. Damn, I'm out of options.
I've tried everything.
Carlsberg, he's probably the second best driver in the team.
I love the idea of him sitting down in the office saying, "We've got this driver, Kevin Magnussen, and we'd really like you to sponsor him." And like the owner of Lego just building a small wall in front in the way of him.
Or spelling out the word no in Lego.
And then he opens the little plastic windows. No.
Slams them shut again. Yeah.
I mean, there has been a Danish Grand Prix before.
Build the
Was
door
it
on
the
your way
50s
out.
the last time we had a Danish Grand Prix?
1960 to 1962. Well, the 1960 race was a Formula 2 race,
Okay.
which was won by Jack Brabham.
Well, there you go.
And the 61 race and 62 were both Formula 1. Sterling Moss won in 61 and Jack Brabham won again in 62.
Oh, there you go.
So
Brilliant.
it's got history. There's been other...
Was it an assigned track or was that a street race? Because there are talks that it could be
The Roskilde Ring.
Oh, okay. So where they hold the
The Roskilde Festival, I would assume.
Roskilde Music Festival. Yeah, wasn't that far outside of Copenhagen. Part of Copenhagen. I don't know my Danish geography that well. I got to be honest. But again, when you're thinking
my
about
favourite was Roskilde Radio Star.
Oh, God.
No, it didn't, Lee. But
So
if
we've
you're
got
looking
we've got these new pop shields to make our voices sound good, but we don't have them to make our jokes sound good.
Speak
No.
for yourself. I'm fucking hilarious.
Anyway, you would have thought that somewhere like the Netherlands, for example, would be ahead of Denmark in the queue in getting a Formula One race, due to the fact we've spoken in previous podcasts quite recently about how the Orange Army are everywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
Everywhere Formula One goes in Europe, and sometimes even further afield than that, there is a mass of orange, and they all sit together in the stands, and it's quite imposing. And it means, Max Verstappen's got a huge following from Holland. So you would think that Holland, as a small European country, would probably be way ahead of Denmark in getting a Grand Prix. But for some reason, and reasons that are not yet clear to me, Denmark is in talks to have a race staged on the streets of Copenhagen.
Yeah. The can't resurrect the Roskilde Rings. It was only 1.5 kilometres, and I think that would kind of be over before it had started.
It would be about 114 laps then of GP.
Yeah.
What's a Grand? I can't remember the race length of a Grand Prix.
4 miles. Didn't we say that the other day?
An actual Grand Prix has to be a certain distance, because obviously Monaco's 78 laps because it's short.
Oh, sorry, the complete...
The distance of a Grand Prix,
right,
yeah.
Sorry, I get you.
Yeah. 300 kilometres?
Something like that.
300, 350, something around that. But no,
150 laps of the Roskilde Ring.
that would get a bit dull.
Yeah.
But no, what they're looking at is a street circuit, kind of a figure eight.
Okay, using a bridge then. I've never been to Copenhagen. Anybody
Probably
here?
using a bridge.
Or a tunnel. Could be using a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Or not. Have you never seen figure of eight banger racing?
Yes.
Imagine
actually,
that with Formula One cars.
We did. Lotus got rid of him when Renault bought them out.
Yes. Long-term listeners will remember the past the disaster predictor.
The glory days.
The
of
glory
podcast.
days. I would say so, yeah.
When we all used to sit clustered around one microphone and one podcat.
Yes.
Cuddling to save oxygen.
And warmth.
Yeah, because Lee's always too tight to put the fire on. But no, it's going to be a street circuit round Copenhagen. It looks interesting the way they've laid it out. It's kind of the only way to describe it is the Star Trek emblem.
But it also kind of looks like the Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah, it sort of.
Or a fish. To me, that looks like a fish, the outline of that circuit.
Oh yeah. I see what you're getting at. Anyone that's listening that doesn't know what this looks like, they're going to be completely lost.
Well, they should be looking it up right now.
Yeah, that's true.
No, joking. We'll probably put a link to it. We'll probably put a link to it on the website. But, I mean, do you remember Bernie Ecclestone saying, was it not even 10 years ago, that Western Europe was a dead place for Formula One, and that the sport had to go where the money was, and that was the Middle East and far-flung countries.
Where the dictators hang out.
Yeah. Now, all of a
So
sudden...
Denmark, you're now a dictatorship?
Apparently so. And next they'll be reviving the Swiss Grand Prix. You watch.
They're having a Formula E race.
Which is mental.
No, you're allowed to race electric cars in Switzerland. You're just not allowed to do anything with petrol power,
Yeah, that's
including
true.
drive for the most part. According to the episode of Top Gear that I watched.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. But again, we're getting back to how many more races are they going to fit on the calendar? Are they actually going to get to this legendary figure of 25?
Well, that's a Sean Bratch's quote, isn't it? Sean wanted 25 races on the calendar. Ideally, that was his ideal number of races in a season. I think 25 might be pushing it a bit.
How many have we got this year?
21 is there this year?
Yeah, you've got a mug up there.
I think I can't remember.
Yeah, it's 21 because Germany's back.
And France is back.
And France.
Yeah, and we've gotten rid of Malaysia.
Yeah.
So
that knocks it down to...
But so again, we've got rid of a far-flung country and added in two European Grand Prix that were apparently dead in the water and would never hold a race again, according to previous dictator Bernie.
Even though previous dictator Bernie's company owns the circuit that the French Grand Prix is going to be held at.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be the promoter, and we'll probably see a lot of him in the run-up to the French Grand Prix.
Woohoo. That was the crowd going mild.
It was. I think it's a little bit odd, really, a Danish Grand Prix. I'm not against the idea, but I have echoes of Valencia in Spain running through my head.
So they want this by 2021?
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So it's 2018 now. This could essentially save Kevin Magnussen's career next year.
Well, funnily enough, his dad's designed the circuit.
Jan.
Jan.
Well, look at it didn't do.
Well, I say Jan Magnussen's designed the circuit. He's got a map of Copenhagen and he's drawn some lines on it.
Yeah,
Where he thinks it should go.
Yeah.
but it didn't do Sergio Perez any harm, did it? You know, when the Mexico Grand Prix came around.
Yeah, but he's good.
I'd say he's. Don't forget, he was pretty damaged, wasn't he? And
I think he was. I think by the time the Mexican Grand Prix came back on the circuit, he was.
He'd had a few years of him and Hulkenberg battling it out in
He was
Force
repaired.
India.
He was repaired by the time Mexico. What it did do was save Esteban Gutierrez for another year,
yes,
and he very quickly vanished.
Formula E?
Yeah, probably. I don't even know, but yeah, it's interesting to see the direction that Chase Carey, Sean Bratches, and Ross Brawn appear to be taking Formula One. They did say that they know that the core fan base of Formula One is Western Europe, and they don't want to take races away. But what they appear to be doing is adding races there.
Well,
which I don't know if that's going to start appealing to the broader, pulling in new fans. I don't know if that's going to.
Don't know.
They must have done market research. I can't see them just being like,
yeah.
Denmark seems like a good place. We've never been there. Well, let's give that a go.
I like it. I like bacon. Let's go.
yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of money behind this. It's let's see, it's a promotion group of backers.
Oh, so it's kind of like Longbow Finance with Ericsson and Sauber, but
the former owner of Saxo Bank, who were a sponsor of Lotus, and have mainly put their money into professional cycling in the past.
Okay,
Big in Denmark.
cycling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big on street circuits.
Well, there you go.
Must admit, I worry slightly about the way it looks like Formula One's going. When you look at last week, it was a bit of a slight tangent, but given what you just saying there, sort of on theme. Did you see that article I tweeted up about them suggesting that Autosport article about suggesting that they might start putting stocks and shares on the Halo?
Well, yeah, that not.
I know it was
really
just an idea.
Well,
It was just, but it's a ridiculous idea.
it's not what they were saying when I read the article. I read it slightly differently to you. The Halo could have a ticker message on it, and basically what Chase Carey was saying was that the possibilities of what they could put on that ticker.
It wasn't Chase, was it? It was your man from McLaren.
Or was it your man from McLaren?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
He was saying that what you could put on those, the possibilities were endless.
Yeah.
He said you could, they use them at the moment for stocks and shares in places like Wall Street.
Yeah.
You see these laser sort of ticker tape things
So,
going across.
the quote from Zach Brown was possibly some sort of almost like ticker running, like you see at the stock exchange.
Yeah.
They're not going to
Not
be driving
the
past
stock-
with
no,
share
no,
prices.
no.
on.
But the problem is,
That's mainly because the race on Sundays, and that's when the stock market's closed.
But the problem is the fact that it's immediately looked at. And I realise Formula One's got to make money. I realise it's a business, but it's the idea that this is immediately looked at as just another place to put advertising.
Well, no,
well,
not
necessarily
no.
advertising. There could be all sorts of information about the car, the driver.
Well, that's what I think it should be. I think like electric,
It could be the running
battery
running
power,
order,
stuff like that.
or the running order on
Yeah, like they do on the IndyCar, which have actually taken away advertising space to put those digital readouts on for the position and the pit stop time.
Something else as well that's worth pointing out for 2018. The fins are, the shark fins on the back of the cars. They're going to be basically non-existent because you're not allowed to put struts in at the back to support the top part of the shark fin. So the shark fin would wobble around too much, make the car too unstable. So it looks like most teams are going to get rid of them. Remember when we saw the Mercedes at the beginning of last year, and it had a very sort of sharp razor edge down the back of it, not so much of a fin.
Yeah.
That's what the backs of the cars are probably going to look like. So they've got less space to put, and they still have to have, for example, Vettel's car still has to have number 5 and Vet on it somewhere on the side of that car. So there's less advertising space for more information. So that's sort of going down the same avenue.
Yeah, but Ferrari have just made the logo smaller so they can actually do that.
They have. So, but you're going to see with this laser ticker thing on the Halo, if it happens. I mean, the Halo for me it's too narrow to put anything on at the moment. I know technology moves incredibly quickly, but
I like the idea if they end up with the like push to pass sort of button. I like the idea of some sort of indication to show that they're using the push to pass.
yeah,
Or-
like the flashing red light in the back to show they're harvesting energy.
Yeah.
Which is also a safety thing for the car behind to notify them that they're not accelerating at that time.
But the other thing I worry about the way Formula One's been taken is the idea of using Formula One engines for different things. I understand the principle behind it, but I can't help think that that's another thing that's going to dilute the sport and take away some of that specialness away from it.
What have you got against a Honda doorstop?
No, but you
That's
know
cool,
what I
that
mean? LMP1 is it's quite close to Formula One in lots of ways. You know, apart from the fact it's like a closed car as far as the open car.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden you're putting Formula One engines in those as well, I think it takes something away from Formula One.
I don't know. After watching the Audis at Le Mans last year, I think they had Honda engines in all of them, just with a different badge on the way they kept sort of breaking down and bursting into flames.
No, I agree with Lee. Formula One engines have to be for Formula One.
Yeah.
Power units, or whatever you want to call them. They have to be. That formula is Formula One.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh well, let's just borrow this.
Formula car.
'Cause
I think from another point of view, if they're looking to stop development wars by limiting the amount of development that you're allowed to put on the engine and how much testing you can do, you can't let the same engines be used in two different formulas.
For development
Otherwise, you're getting
reasons.
around those
You're getting
rules.
around those rules, yes.
Yeah,
good point.
otherwise Renault all of a sudden, we're considering doing an LMP1 entry. We'll just take the Formula 1 engine, put it in the LMP car and run it for 7,000
See
laps
if
around
it
Paul
could do the
Ricard.
24 hours of Le Mans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
essentially doing a closed cockpit Formula One car.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that there's loads of ideas flying around Formula One at the minute that might have the space to be heard because of the power vacuum that was left when Bernie Ecclestone, was taken over because he was such a big, domineering character over it.
Well, it's kind of the pressure build-up effect, isn't it? Because everyone's had these ideas for the last 70 years while Bernie's been in charge.
But some of the ideas sounds like they haven't been had for 17 minutes before somebody said it.
But yeah, there's just been this big build-up of ideas. Bernie's gone, the cork's released from the bottle, and now everything's coming out.
Well,
because people can now say things. Because before it was somebody mentioned anything and Bernie just threatened to sue them.
I couldn't imagine the machine.
Sorry, he's just threatened to sue me. I retract that statement.
I mean, we'll have to see, obviously, coming up towards the new Concord agreement and stuff like that. But when people used to turn around and say, there could be a future without Formula One, and don't get me wrong, I think lots of the stuff that new owners are doing have proven to be good. But I used to always think to myself, no, Formula One is too big to fail, essentially, at that point. I don't believe that anymore.
No, but they're only 2 years into this. They're only 2 years into their ownership of Formula One.
Yeah.
They're still kind of finding their feet, especially Ross Brawn. I mean, Sean Bratches and Chase Carey, they're the big cheeses.
Yeah.
Sean Bratches knows what he wants to do commercially. He's
Don't
already
forget,
put quite a lot in place. But Ross Brawn, as the sort of rules man, the sporting technical director, he's really still finding his feet in that role because he's not.
It's a long way from what he's done before, isn't it?
And he's got so many points of view to listen to. And
Well, yeah, because I mean, he's always been the guy that's kind of bent the rules as far as possible. Now he's the one that's having to make them.
Yeah, but as I was saying, he's got to listen to so many points of view and so many. There's so much crap that was left behind and not solved from the Bernie era that I think it'll take another year, 2 years maybe for the sporting side of things to find their feet. And I can't help but thinking maybe the commercial side is just running away a little bit.
Yeah.
With taking the ball and running with it, when really they should make sure the whole package is there. But at the same time, the counter argument to that is they've got sport to run and they still have to run it. It has to day-to-day running of the sport has to happen.
I think the thing you've got to remember as well is that now the world moves at quite a fast pace. It's like news is fast. It's no quicker has something been said or something happened that it's already been forgotten and somebody's moved on to the next thing. So I don't think that they have the time to find their feet like they would have had, say, a decade ago. And if you come off the back of a couple of bad decisions here, or a mediocre decision there, these are things that could ripple down and take the legs from underneath the sport before anyone fucking realizes it's happened.
Well, when you get someone like Pat Simmons saying that F1 is behind on social media.
Yeah.
Oh, something else I haven't written down for the running order. Did anyone see what Pat Simmons was saying about esports and the grid reshuffling?
Yeah.
They want to use esports to have a look at how to reshuffle the grid in Formula One, but they want to run 20 races in esports with what they think are the best ideas.
Yeah.
It could be that, and I don't know how you're going to work this. It could be that the staggered grid, isn't it? P1 starts usually on the racing line, ahead a few meters ahead of P2.
I saw this, but I didn't read what it was.
No, he wants to know if it's possible to start cars side by side.
Yeah.
Like they used to in the 50s. Or if it's possible to maybe put a certain portion of the grid, maybe the top 10, in reverse order. But they want to use esports to look at that first before they do it. Because he says
it costs maybe
Nothing
thousands to
Yeah.
run an
Yeah.
esports event as opposed to millions to run a Formula One event. That's a brilliant idea.
It is
Yeah.
a brilliant,
Well,
because when you
because what
think
you
of the
want-
quali, when
what
you
he says
think
wants
of
to do, he says the first 3 laps is what we're interested in.
yeah,
So if we get to the first corner and everyone crashes, that's no good. We can't use that format. So if we do 20 races and 7 of them, everybody's out by the end of the first corner.
only
there's
thing
no
I'd
point.
say there is I don't understand how they'll judge that from esports, because there's no danger in it. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's a lot braver when there's no danger. But
He did use the whole qualifying screw up as a perfect example of why you should test something out like that.
Yeah, but
away
that's just what I was gonna
from the
say.
race.
Yeah, he said no one simulated that before we went ahead with it, so nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He said the fans at the track were so confused, some of them walked away because they genuinely didn't know what was going on.
So did half the drivers.
Yeah, and it's going to take a few races for the strategy to settle out as to how you do these things the best way. And if it turns out to be a snooze fest like a lot of qualifying formats have done, if you think back a few years when the qualifying format was basically wait for 2 hours and then everyone goes out and does 3 laps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I think the qualifying is one of the least things that need changed about the sport. I think
I would agree with you there.
Yeah, I think they finally got it right. It's certainly better than the like you said, the old way of doing it, where you got 12 laps and everyone used them at the end.
yeah.
And the one-shot qualifying was just dull.
So one shot was boring. I still don't.
One shot could be exciting if the weather was changing during qualifying, but that rarely happened.
Yeah,
I still don't think it. They half had a good idea with the knockout qualifying, and there's a little bit of me still thinks that they should have.
With a few more tweaks, it could have worked a whole lot better.
I think the problem with one shot qualifying is tire allocation
The problem with one-shot qualifying to me is
and refueling.
For those listeners as well, just want to recap on one-shot qualifying. That was when they only had 1 lap, didn't they? To do it in. So the championship leader would be the last one out,
Yeah,
and then people.
no. What they ended up doing was they had a pre-qualifying on Friday, or Saturday, sometimes Saturday mornings, which was in reverse order of finishing in the last race, which then gave everyone a time, and then the slowest one from the first session went out first in the actual qualifying session.
yeah,
See, that's too convoluted.
it is.
But
What it
also,
should
there's
be-
so much random chance can ruin a single lap,
Yeah.
meaning that it's not the fastest driver who's getting to the front. Now, we tend to both love that because it mixes up the grid and means you get an exciting race, and hate it because you don't want the grid to be randomly selected, unless you just say, sod it, let's randomly select the grid.
I don't think it would be too bad an idea. See if you had it the same format that we have now, like the three qualifying sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the reason you can't do it, I suppose, is because of tire allocations. But the cars should go on the track. They should get X amount of time before cars start being eliminated. Then cars should be literally pulled off the track. So after 2 minutes, if you are last, then you are eliminated from qualifying. then 2 minutes later or a minute and a half later, the next car's pulled off, and then the next car until you have like 15. And then in qualifying 2, you do the same thing. You knock out 5 cars, and then in qualifying 3, the top 10 go out, and the top 10 are then knocked out at intervals until you have 1 car left on the circuit. Because what you'd end up there is
You mean they have to be on circuit?
you have to be on circuit.
Yeah.
And what you'd end up with is, if you say you had 3 cars going for pole with each other, or 4 cars if it's 2 teams, you'd end up with those 2 teams on, like essentially racing each other, trying to stay in qualifying.
And what the effect would be, as I see it, would be everyone would start slow, trying to conserve their tyres as much as possible.
Yeah, because you still have to have the tyre allocation thing.
But you've got to balance burning your tyres out and being the slowest driver. So you've got to push harder and harder every lap.
Yeah.
I think that could work.
I think it'd be a little bit like
They-
cycle racing, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
They should find a way to test that.
Yeah.
Using esports.
Maybe.
Are you listening, Codemasters?
But the
Because you never answer your emails.
the big
No.
they probably won't use that game for the esports. I wouldn't have thought.
It's the official esports Formula One game.
Yeah, but I mean, like for a league, I wouldn't have thought there's enough tweaking that can be done with it. You know, like for professional esports.
Throw enough money at a piece of software and it can be tweaked as much.
That's
Also, did you just call it Lee Sports?
Yes.
Yeah. But the professional
That's further down the running order.
the professional esports is the Codemasters F1 2017 game.
Yeah, that's for the game, but I don't know what the professional leagues are using for race wise. You know, because like Formula One's esport is all well and good, but it's not like
Oh, you mean other than not
it's not
official.
like it's not like the Premier League fucking esports.
Yeah, but the problem is to simulate actual Formula One. That's the closest game to it.
I would argue that R Factor is well ahead of that and stuff like that. You know, like your PC sim games. I mean, the iRacing is what like Formula One drivers do in their spare time. To actually represent Formula One, Codemasters Formula One game is fucking awful.
And there goes another potential sponsor.
No, but as like a simulation, like the Codemasters have said themselves, the Codemasters Formula One game isn't a Formula One sim as much as it's a Formula One driver sim to make you feel like a Formula One driver.
Yeah, it's a game, not a simulator.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think all this stuff's really good, but like they need to decide what they're going to do and stick to it. You know, someone needs to put a set of rules in place that aren't going to be dicked around with every other season.
I agree with you, but to do that right, you've got to test what the effects of those rules are.
Yeah.
The things that
There are some.
all look good on paper, but as soon as you've got...
testing, especially the idea of testing stuff out on esports is a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the whole knockout qualifying thing went wrong because it was basically said at the time, oh crap, we didn't think of this.
Yeah, but
when
there
did
are
we
also
say-
some things as well that you can't test in esports. You know, you won't know the the effect of not having a shark fin, for example, on the car until it's gone out and done a full race distance, and in gusty conditions. All right, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not talking about testing everything on esports first. It's just new.
No, I'm just
new
saying.
procedures for
But for
how the races run.
But for changing the rules up and things like that, you do have to, just to counter what Lee was saying before, you do have to change the rules from season to season. Not necessarily the technical rules, the way the sport runs, but just little things here and there need tweaking every season, and sometimes they tweak it too far, and actually we should go back to what we had before. That's just the way things are.
They tweaked it left-handed.
Oh, no,
maybe too far.
Yes.
I get the fact that Formula One's an ever-evolving sport.
Yeah,
It's
and
not like
sometimes you gotta
football, which
devolve,
stays
yeah.
static. But all I worry about is, when did we say the Concord Agreement is up? 2021?
2020, I think it's 2020.
2020.
Yeah, but the 2020 season, I think, is under contract for this Concord Agreement, if that
Right.
makes sense. It's covered by this Concord
Yeah.
Agreement.
It's just, if everything seems in such disarray and like more so than usual, and I can't help but think that we're going to be halfway through the 2020 season with still no one agreeing what's going on, still no real direction of what the new formula is going to be with how the cars are going to look, and
Yeah, but I mean, the Concord Agreement is something separate from the sporting regulations. The Concord Agreement is just to do with the
teams.
the teams, the entries, the marketing, and the prize money.
Yeah, but no one's going to sign that until all the other ducks are in the row.
Which is why they're doing things now on the sporting regulations side of things to make sure that they're all in line for 2020.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I don't believe that everything's going to be in place.
So same procedure as last time.
Yeah, but but what's going to happen is it means that instead of this whole big change of Formula One, so it actually makes steps forward. You know, even like car design and stuff like that, where it should be. What's going to happen is we're going to get to 2021 and we're going to hear the words evolution again.
Which might not be a bad thing.
If you're saying we don't want Formula One to be ripped up every few years, then evolution is
no, but I
a
do
good
think
thing.
I do think it needs pushed into the future more. Like I've always said, if you take you take one of the dirty unwashed masses and show them a 1990s Formula One car and last year's Formula One car, they're going to go, "Oh, well, what's the difference there?" Then, I think
The shark fin.
Yeah, but I think we're in territories, especially the way as much as I hate to.
You want to
say
use
it.
the drawings, don't you? That people were putting out, of like the Red Bull Gran Turismo car and the McLaren MPX.
It's not going to take long. It's not going to take Formula E long before the way they seem to be pushing things ahead with what their car design and stuff like that. And regardless of what people think, like as far as a mass market appeal, the way it looks and the way it's presented is one of the big draws for people. It's not going to be long until Formula E make Formula One look old-fashioned.
With the front wings and just the forward thinking that Formula E has
Yeah.
got, some of that needs to be adopted. Not necessarily what Formula E is doing, but some of the forward thinking needs to be adopted into Formula One. Which is why I think they should just not bother with the halo and just go full on with the canopy if they're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, we've said this.
Halo's a half step.
How many times have we said Halo's a half step?
Yeah,
Moving on.
it's my worst cowboy dance.
I know I promised I wouldn't breathe down the microphone. But that just deserved it. Moving on. Danny Kvyat is back. Ish.
Sort of.
And this time he's testing.
Everyone's patience?
Well, is he going to actually drive the car? He's a development driver, which usually means a lot of time in the simulator.
Time in the simulator and the sunset of your Formula One career
Yeah.
normally.
Now, because some people have had a bit of a fit here because they think Danny Kvyat is the third driver at Ferrari. No, it's
No,
not
that's
the
Charles
case.
Leclerc.
Yeah.
I don't think
The
make a
reserve
bad third
driver. The reserve driver is the third driver.
Yeah.
The test and development drivers
Don't get
do
to
a
drive
lot
the
of
car.
simulator work.
Now, I want to allay people's fears here about Danny Kvyat getting into Ferrari because let's have a look at.
Are people
former-
worried about that?
I think they are. Yeah, I think some people think Danny Kvyat's going to jump in a Ferrari if Kimi Raikkonen has a cold one weekend.
I can fix this with one simple name. Giancarlo Fisichella.
Yeah.
It's his birthday today. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Giancarlo. But let's have a look at two ex-Ferrari development drivers that I can name from the last about 5, maybe 6 years.
It's Giancarlo Fisichella's birthday yesterday, actually.
was it yesterday?
Yeah, he shares a birthday with me.
45.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes you feel old, doesn't it?
The Fisichella's 45.
Yeah.
Fisichella's exactly 3 years younger than me. Jesus.
He's just give
decades. 3 decades.
Dog years.
Wait, now I'm really confused. Kamui Kobayashi, after not getting a seat at Caterham, became a Ferrari development driver.
And he went on to famously drive in that. No, he didn't.
No, he never drove the car. He did simulator work, and then
He was never seen on a Formula One circuit again.
No, he went to drive Ferrari GT cars in I don't know if it was Italian GT cars. He went to drive in a GT series for Ferrari and was promptly dropped at the end of the season and not rehired by Ferrari.
No.
Okay, somebody else who we're a little bit more familiar with in recent years, Esteban Gutierrez. Between Sauber and Haas, he was a Ferrari development driver.
And he famously No,
he
didn't.
No. He famously went to Haas and forgot to score any points. Infamously, should we say? Infamously went to Haas and forgot to score points.
He came close at almost every race, though.
5 races in a season, he came pretty close by finishing 11th. Even Jolyon Palmer scored points.
But not in a Haas.
No, in a Renault.
So
with that in mind...
So Kvyat, what we're saying is, could either be done or coming back further down the grid.
No, he's not coming back.
I'm with Flood.
Unless something severe happens at Alfa Romeo Sauber and they forget that they've got Giovinazzi. If Ericsson's even worse this year than he was last year, and they forget, oh, hang on, we should get rid of him and put Giovinazzi in the car, but we've got Danny Kvyat at Ferrari.
Who was the football team that died in a plane crash? Didn't it take out like the whole football team?
Man
United.
That's kind of what would have to happen to Formula One for him to get back into a car.
I think that's why all the drivers don't fly together.
No, they don't fly together because Danny Ricciardo always takes pictures of them while they're asleep.
Yeah.
Whatever, happy.
Obviously, the ones who all live in Monaco tend to travel together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's most of them.
exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Lewis gets in his own plane and goes wherever he wants.
But doesn't tell anyone about it on social media at the minute.
Doesn't say anything on social media at the moment. Apparently,
I like the idea that maybe Lewis Hamilton gets his own plane because it's such a it's such a grounded thing. As he just hates talking about work while he's not there.
don't talk shop. So if you just happen to find yourself on a beach in like a remote island somewhere in the Caribbean, and then Lewis Hamilton walks by with whoever he's taken on holiday with in that week, and then you say, "Hey Lewis, how's it going?" Yeah, fine. Do I know you? No, yeah, but Formula One. Listen, man, I'm not at work right now. Don't talk shop at me when I'm not at work. I'm clearly not at work. Leave me alone, man. Don't talk to me on the beaches, man.
Do you reckon he says to the other drivers, "Look, you're not my friends, you're my colleagues."
I don't dislike any of yous. I just don't really want to hang around with you.
I'll come to the Christmas do, but that's the limit. I'll sign the leaving card.
Esteban's leaving party. Nah, not going.
I'm sick of putting a tenner in the kitty every time you have a leaving party for Kvyat.
Yeah, how many retirement dues is that guy having?
More than me, and apparently I'm close to retirement age these days.
Does he still work here?
I think I saw him once. Oh dear.
So we think that this is just
Kvyat.
a public relations move by Kvyat's people getting him in there. Is he going to be paying for his simulator seat?
I don't know.
I don't think it's a public relations thing. It's a motorsports job. He is a professional motorsports driver.
Yeah, you'll see him in a Ferrari garage in Ferrari gear, cap, shirt, the works. Like he's going to be ready to jump in the car at any moment, but he won't be jumping in that car at any moment.
No.
So effectively, he's going to be spending a year as full kit wanker.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd have thought so.
Talking to people who may be jumping in cars at some point in the future, Renault have announced the driver academy for the 2018 season.
Which is interesting because we were discussing last week about how they've got no options for their drivers if one of them decides to turf off anywhere.
Which is true, but they now have
They signed a few young drivers.
signed 3 young drivers and retained 4 from last season. One of the ones that they've retained being Jack Aitken, who was runner-up in...
Yep.
Is that what the team
GP3
photo was? With like 10
Yeah.
people in, 10 or 15 people?
With 7 of them.
Was it? Or was it only 7?
Yeah.
I thought it was more than that.
No, you'd gone cross-eyed.
Possibly.
Yeah, Jack Aitken, of course, who was George Russell's closest rival, if that's the right way of putting it, and teammate.
Yeah.
In GP3, also moving up to Formula 2 in the Renault Academy. Who else is in the Renault Academy?
Returned from last season, along with Jack Aitken, is Max Futrell, Christian Lundgaard, and Sun Yu Yang. And they've taken on 3 new drivers Sasha Fenestras, Arthur Rougier, and Victor Martins. They're all,
All people I've never heard of.
no, but they're going to be driving in lower formulas. Let's have a look.
But it's good that Renault are investing in youth.
It now
it's-
actually looks, with 7 drivers on the books, Renault have got a bigger young driver program than Red Bull. Mainly because you can go into the Renault young driver program and survive.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's great that Renault, because isn't young the lowest formula that one of these drivers in Formula 4, which is essentially a step up from karts.
Let's have a look. There's going to be 4 of them in Formula Renault Euro Cup.
Okay.
One in European Formula 3, one in British Formula 3, and Jack Aitken in F2.
Yeah. So Formula Renault Euro Cup, essentially round about Formula 4, halfway to Formula 3.
Never even heard of it. I've no idea.
I know Jack Aitken came up through Renault Euro Cup, but it's great that it's such a what's that like? You've got Formula 3. It's below Formula 3, but maybe a little bit higher than Formula 4. You're looking at a Formula 1 team investing in drivers at that level. That's quite promising for a Formula 1 team to be able to pick out drivers. I know Formula 1 teams have picked out drivers from karting level before. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, for example. I think Mika Hakkinen was picked out as a potential Formula 1 driver from his karting days. But it's great to see that a team is putting public these are the people being public with it. These are the people we're putting our investment in because we believe they're the future of the sport. They've got the talent, and we're going to try and develop them through the formula until they're ready for the big step up into Formula 1.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at some of the
Clearly, all 7 of them won't fit into 2 seats.
No. But I mean, you look at some of the names that have progressed through Formula Renault in its various guises over the last few years. Just looking at some of the champions.
Kevin Magnussen.
Felipe Massa.
Yes.
Scott Speed. Try not to mention that. Esteban Gutierrez.
You're not doing yourself any favours.
No.
Kamui Kobayashi.
Keep going.
Brendan Hartley.
And again.
Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Stoffel Van Dorn.
Yeah, go on.
Heard of him.
Pierre Gasly. Nick De Vries.
Nick De Vries, I think, is I think he's unfortunately going to be one of those nearly guys.
It's like sounds
hope
like
he's not.
Sounds like the breeding ground for midfield drivers.
Lando Norris.
Lando Norris.
Oh, we don't know yet though.
We're yet to see what he can do in a faster car.
Yeah,
Maybe next year.
I hope so.
We'll see.
I think it'll be next year because I think.
Well, actually, maybe in just under 2 weeks' time in Daytona.
Yeah.
Is that 2 weeks away now? Is it
That
Daytona?
is, it's a week on Saturday.
Can't help but think that this is the biggest year for Stoffel Van Dorn to put up or shut up.
Carlos Sainz Jr. was in there as well, along with Danny Kvyat and Pierre Gasly. So,
Sainz Jr., fair enough.
Yeah.
talking to Carlos Sainz Sr. has been given a 10-minute penalty in the Dakar Rally. I've got no idea what he did, but it probably involved
A
running into someone.
10-minute penalty.
Yeah, but the Dakar Rally goes on for about 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and you
it
drive
does,
about 600 miles a day.
Yeah. I did see...
I think it's also in Peru this year.
It's South America, yeah. I did see former Tottenham and Chelsea manager Andre Villas-Boas, who has entered the Dakar Rally, have a horrific accident in which he managed to somehow plant his car right at the bottom of a sand dune, like a sand pit, natural sand pit, and basically ruptured his vertebrae.
Oops. And retired from the race.
Well, no, he had to. He couldn't drive. He couldn't barely lift his arm. So yeah, not for the faint-hearted, the Dakar Rally at all whatsoever. I did notice Carlos Sainz Sr. is doing the race with much Red Bull sponsorship.
Funny that.
Yeah, all of the Red Bull sponsorship. For those who don't know, Carlos Sainz Sr., 1990 World Rally champion.
He's related to Carlos Sainz Jr.
Well, he's his dad, for a start. But he's 19... I think
Potential grandparent of Carlos Sainz III.
It'd be so funny if he wasn't. What a coincidence.
I'm trying to think of people who aren't related, but you think they are now. Oh well.
And moving swiftly on. The new F1 logo. It's causing ructions.
Well, no, it's not. Somebody's gone. That looks like something I designed a few years ago. Can you please stop that?
Yeah, the 3M Corporation, who are massive.
Yeah.
They make glue.
They make everything.
They
don't
make everything
They
because
make chemicals, don't they, really?
Yeah.
Scotch tape.
Yeah.
Glue.
Videos used to VHS videos.
VHS videos. They were called Scotch as well. Advertised by a skeleton.
I remember that.
Yeah.
With Scotch's
Re-record,
lifetime
not
guarantee.
fade away.
Yeah.
Re-record, not fade away.
So as it turned out, the tapes lasted longer than the VCRs.
Yep.
They also make support tights, which have half the similar logo to the new F1.
Yes.
It is very, very similar.
It's the same F.
Yeah.
I think that theirs is designed as a pair of legs rather than...
Because you can get... I've seen 3M, like, wrist and knee supports, things like that. So is this like a similar thing?
Yeah. Yeah, the compression leg wear, I think it's for if you're in hospital or if you're on a long-distance flight.
Yeah.
Stop you getting coronary
DVT.
thrombosis.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to do a Google reverse image search with the Formula One logo to see if that comes up.
Paul is on it.
Well, it will do lots now because there's lots of people posting pictures of the two of them
Yeah,
side by
shame.
side. It would have been great to do it 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Well, no, I actually saw this a long time ago. Somebody on Instagram had just been like, this looks familiar. And I wonder if that photo would just sort of sparked off people going, wait a second.
I also just like the idea that we were going to essentially catfish the F1 logo.
Who's Neve? Who's Max? And who's the production crew that sometimes get occasionally caught on camera?
I'll be either because they are both handsome motherfuckers.
Max does grey hair well.
He does.
Yeah.
I don't.
I haven't got to that stage yet.
It'll happen.
I'm sure it will.
For who's going to be Neve, it's who's got the hairiest chest because they're always going on about his chest hair on.
I'm out.
I'm out. Dan. Dan's got a hairy chest.
Dan wins.
Yeah. We did just
I
have
am
a chest.
70s man.
We just had a chest off in the podcast room, everybody, and Dan has a hairier
As
chest
it
than
turns
Paul.
out, Dan is Ron Jeremy. We're going to keep an eye on this logo story.
Well,
because,
it's going to court, is it not?
It may well be, but I think there'll be some kind of out of court settlement with large amounts of money and non-disclosure agreements.
I was just going to
changing
say,
hands.
I can't help but think that whoever owns or whoever designed that logo for 3M was sort of going, just leave it and wait till I've got all the printing done, wait till everything's done, and then raise this so they can just pay me away.
But it's not like you're going to get confused between Formula One Motorsport and support tights, is it?
No, but I mean, you could think that 3M supports Formula One, but maybe they don't.
Just question.
Or that Formula One is it's an affiliated product of Formula One when it isn't. So I can see why they might have a bit of a.
What are support tights?
We've just discussed
we
this.
have just discussed this, Lee. Yeah.
Did you?
They are
Yeah.
very tight and they hold your veins in and stop you getting thrombosis when
Like
you're on
travel socks.
travel socks that go all the way up your legs.
Right, okay. Sexy.
Ask your missus. She's probably more familiar with the way that tights work than 3 other blokes. I'm sure we're going to get a flurry of tweets now explaining tights.
I hope so.
I don't. It's maybe
You watch wrestling.
Yeah, the more like it's mainly trunks nowadays, though, isn't it?
We still wear the trousers that wrestlers would wear would be tights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, think of what Shawn Michaels used to wear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing, but without a massive pair of lips across the arse.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Why do we always end up on Shawn Michaels' arse?
Whoa, careful! no one ends up on Shawn Michaels.
I don't think we ever have. Not even in the podcast.
We've offered the sponsorship.
It's all gone downhill.
No, that says at one point it needed to be uphill.
For the record, this time wasn't really my fault.
No, it wasn't at all.
Still blaming you. Next thing that we've got, unfortunate sad news with the passing of legendary F1, IndyCar, NASCAR, sports car driver, team owner, designer.
General motorsport pioneer.
Basically, yeah, Dan Gurney, who sadly passed away this week at the age of 86.
Yes.
If it was... Basically, he did just about everything that it was possible to achieve in motorsport.
He won Le Mans.
Yeah.
I think when he won Le Mans with AJ Foyt as his teammate, I think that's when he invented champagne spraying. You know,
I believe so, yes.
Every race you see now, in doesn't matter what it is, Formula One, World Rally Championship, MotoGP, anything, they always spray the champagne. No one did that until Dan Gurney did it after winning Le Mans in '67. He randomly just decided to spray people with champagne.
I think it was because he didn't drink, wasn't it?
I have no idea what his reasoning for
That
it
is the
was.
story I've heard in the past, that he wasn't a drinker, so he couldn't drink the champagne, so
he
he just
sprayed
sprayed it everywhere.
Fair enough.
Am I right in thinking that it was Jackie Stewart that was the first guy to do it in Formula One?
Maybe, but he probably got it from.
Oh no,
from Dan Gurney,
yeah. That's in my head as well, but I don't know whether I've just made
The
that
marketing
memory up.
genius Jackie Stewart will likely copied an idea that someone came up with first.
Yeah.
Dan Gurney was also the man responsible for the what's known as the Gurney flap. You know, on the back of quite crude downforce rear wings, the actual flap that forces the air up and away.
I was going to ask whether that was him.
He's responsible for that.
Wow.
Also, the first race driver in Formula One, at least, to wear a full face helmet rather than an open face helmet with a balaclava.
Now, we discussed this beforehand, and we came to the conclusion that because he was in the 50s and 60s, all the drivers were manly men with moustaches. He didn't have a moustache, so he was the only one that could actually fit his face in a full-face helmet.
So everybody else had to wrap theirs in a balaclava.
Yes, without crushing his tash.
Balaclava and goggles, and full face helmet. You've got the added incentive of an actual full face visor then as well, so your protection from all angles, rather than I can't imagine racing with just goggles at the speed that those guys would do it back then.
No,
It's mental, isn't it?
but then at the time people would fly with just goggles, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a
Yeah.
big scarf.
And a big scarf.
You had to have a big scarf if you were flying in an open cockpit.
And a little leather cap.
Yeah.
And only if you were polishing nice wooden furniture.
Yeah.
No, he rode motorbikes.
Mr. Sheen.
Yeah.
Barry.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
I had to get back on the dad jokes tonight.
yeah. So Dan Gurney was a pioneer of many things. I think he's was he one of the only drivers to win maiden victories for 3 Formula One teams: Porsche, BRM, and someone else. Brabham, perhaps.
Just looking that up.
And I think he's the only other person to win 3 maiden victories for Formula One teams, and the only other person to do it was Jackie Stewart.
Yeah, he was also the first driver to win in sports cars, F1, NASCAR, and IndyCar.
Yeah.
And that's only ever been done by him, Mario Andretti, and Juan Pablo Montoya.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So he's the man who blazed a trail for clubs that don't contain very many drivers. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, an absolute legend, team owner as well.
Yeah.
What was his team? All American Racers.
Yeah. Bit of a prankster as well, I understand.
By all accounts, yes.
Yeah. Liked to play jokes on people. Apparently in sports cars, he removed the wheel nuts of a wheel, knowing full well that it would fall off before it even got out of the pit lane, just to annoy his teammate, who apparently had eaten his lunch the day before.
But yeah, he's one of these sort of classic racing drivers from the past who, if it had an engine and 4 wheels, he would drive it and probably win in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he proven that time and time again that he could, and he did. So yeah, very sad to hear of the death of Dan Gurney, aged 86 this week.
Right, Chris, Do you want to
Yes.
get the guitar out?
Is it that time already?
It's that time. Well, Lee's opening the laptop and Chris is reaching miles for the guitar.
I've got to be honest. I don't know how this is going to sound with the new shields.
Bassier, I would have thought. All we've done is stuck some foam on top of the microphones, but the actual sound difference, just from what we can hear, is
Expensive foam.
Well, we can sit nearer them, can't we?
it's not expensive foam. They came free with another set of microphones that I bought for 3 legs fourth down, and the mics were only £8 each.
Magic foam, unicorn hair.
Sorry, I thought those were the lyrics.
Magic foam, unicorn hair. Magic foam, unicorn hair. Magic foam, unicorn hair. Look out. Here comes a total shunt.
So who's this week's magic unicorn that sent the total shunt in?
It is from Bill Winkle. Bullwinkle. On Twitter.
Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
So we've just about got over and forgiven Ed Forsyth for last week's one, I think. Just about, perhaps.
I did point out to him when he sent his Formula League time in that I'm still not speaking to him because of that.
No, but we liked that. We like it. It was left field and it was a bit odd, but we liked it. Go for it, Lee.
I'm Brazilian.
That's not how you start.
And
So he doesn't have any unicorn hair.
So he's never been born.
no.
Okay.
I was born.
Is that the second clue? Seriously.
No, I just thought
Oh.
I'd fuck with you. I was born in 1973.
So it is the second clue.
Well, it can be. Could have been the first clue.
So a Brazilian who was born in 1973. So looking at somebody who's 44 years old, 45 this year.
But isn't Giancarlo Fisichella? Because he wasn't born in Brazil.
No.
But he is 45.
Yes, but not Brazilian.
So someone the same age as Fisichella.
Yes.
Are we ready?
Yes.
I now work in my brother's cycling company.
Is there a cycling company something to do with Monteiro? Is Tiago Monteiro Brazilian?
No, I think he was Portuguese. Or
Was he?
still, well, he probably still is.
My racing career was around about 2 decades, and I competed in Formula One.
So somebody raced for approximately 20 years.
How old is Rubens Barrichello?
Was he about that old?
He'd probably be about that age, wouldn't he? When did he start? 93, 93, 94. That made it in 2021 when he first started.
93 was his first season in Formula One.
Don't forget Formula One drivers were older when he started as well.
Yeah, which is true actually, because Jenson Button was too young at 20 in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably someone that started mid 90s, late 90s.
We need to guess.
We do need a guess, but I'm not getting anything better than Barrichello, who is the only Brazilian driver I can think of at the moment that's about the right age.
Should we go with him for now?
I think for now.
This isn't fair. This isn't going to help at all.
Oh, great.
I've scored more points as such drivers as Max Chilton, Justin Wilson, and Guido van der Garde.
That narrows it down.
To any of us.
Neither of us are Brazilian. Or that age.
Well, after seeing Dan's chest there, definitely not, I would have thought.
Well, no, I don't want to see any lower than that. Thank you very much. Okay.
So-
Yeah, me
so they've
neither.
scored-
Me neither.
They've scored one or more point.
Unless it's points in other series.
I think
Possibly.
naming Formula One drivers means that it's points in Formula One.
So someone that's scored a point.
Was Justin Wilson a Formula One driver?
Yeah, for a season.
Was he really?
Minardi?
I think so.
He's the guy. He died, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had the right guy. In a test at Road America in 2006, I struck a deer and was knocked unconscious.
Now, I watched the IndyCar race at Road America last season, and you just drive through the woods. You remember Old Hockenheim,
Yeah.
where you went into the woods, and at least they had barriers next to the trees. This didn't.
Do you think he said doe a deer?
A female deer. I'm still thinking someone like Tiago Montero.
Road America's an Indy course, so it's someone that's done Indy as well.
I would.
How old is Helio Castroneves? Well, he never did Formula One, though, did he?
I don't think he's done Formula One. Ricardo Zonta, on the other hand, he was always knocking around. Did get a couple of points finishes when he was, I think it was in his second season at BAR, because BAR didn't score any points in the first season. And he is Brazilian because he brought all the Teleglobo sponsorship into him.
Yeah, Ricardo Zonta would be a good shout.
Martin Brundle used to call him Zorro.
You got to give me an answer now, haven't you?
Ricardo Zonta.
Ricardo Zonta.
Great. Next question. Next hint is Ricardo Zonta replaced me.
I think the phrase I'm looking for is, oh, crap.
It's a good job that wasn't the final answer, really, wasn't it?
That is amazing. Right, so Ricardo's on to replace me. So, are we looking at a Tyrrell driver?
I can give you some extra questions here because he's given me 13.
Yeah, crack on.
Yeah.
Paul Newman once employed me.
Could literally be anyone.
To drive a car, to be a body double, or to
make hot sauce.
salad dressing. I've got a thought here. I've got a thought. Give us another clue. I'll fill in while you're belching.
After my accident with the deer, that marked the end of my open wheel career, but I returned to racing for a brief stint in sports cars.
Ricardo Rossit.
Was he Brazilian?
He's definitely South American. Was crashy. Very likely to do something like hit a deer because he managed to hit an entire Formula One grid in Belgium.
Would he have scored more points than Chilton?
Did he get lucky in a race and score a point? I don't think he was that good enough.
I was just going to say that's OG points as well, down to 6th for him, isn't
But
it?
if the clue is about scoring more points than Chilton, Wilson,
Well, to be fair, he didn't say Formula One.
yeah,
No, he
I'm
did, but I
thinking
think
that
mentioning
those
that-
are all IndyCar drivers as well, aren't they?
Van der Gaard. He's not even a taxi driver.
See, I would say that he meant Formula One by naming those drivers.
Who have all raced in other series, though. That's the thing.
I think we're still going with someone like Tiago Montero.
Who I'm sure is Portuguese.
Okay.
Yes, because he was the last Portuguese driver to get on a podium.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't thank me for this all at once.
He was the last driver racing under a Portuguese flag to get on a podium.
True.
We all remember the anthem of Rosberg, yeah.
Don't thank me for this all at once. I play guitar.
Next.
So I've seen Barrichello play guitar before.
No, that was the tiny harp when he was trying to stay in Formula One. I have driven Daytona prototypes.
Silence.
And your last clue, I won the kart championship in 2002.
2002.
I know that there's a big chunk of our listenership yelling at us now.
We've gone a little bit off piste as well. So
Did
don't.
Gilles de Ferran ever race in Formula One? Did he?
I don't think he did.
Another man that sounds like a food. Or
Sounds like posh chocolates.
or I was thinking cheese. He'd be like a soft cheese.
I don't know. No, it sounds like a seafood dish. Yeah, haddock Gilles de Ferran.
No, like the de Bossan cheese.
Oh, yeah.
You could easily get a de Bossan Gilles de Ferran.
Yeah.
So are we ruling out
Cheese.
Ricardo Rosset?
What about Pedro Diniz?
Oh.
Roberto Moreno. Well, he's Italian, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm gonna help here because I think some of these were pretty. Oh, hang on. There's another clue I didn't say. There's fucking loads of them. I drove this. I don't think this is going to help either. I drove the TF103 and the TF104.
Okay. They don't sound like Toyotas to me.
I would also give you the hint of his Formula One career didn't seem to matter.
Cristiano de.
Yes. I would go with
Matter.
that.
I'm Cristiano de Matter.
I think we can count that as half a win.
I think you're scraping the bottom of the barrel if you're taking that as any win.
We had the spafferest of spaffer questions there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Completely forgotten about his F1 career being that notable. Yeah, he was. He was in Formula One.
I remember the joke at the time being, "What's the matter?"
Last usually.
Yeah.
No, that was a good one. Thank you.
It was.
Thank you, Bullwinkle. Formula Lee. Next.
Oh, of course. It's time for a new one, and we've got full results of this one.
Full results of this one, which was Belgium in the dry
Hooray!
in the 1992 Williams. Popular one this week, 43 entries.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Lots of people after that Nico Rosberg helmet.
Yeah, and we have had, how many entries have we had this season? 71 different people have entered this season
For the Winter Series.
for the Winter Series,
Wow.
and that's just in the 3 races that we've had so far. So
71 entries. It's amazing. Keep it up.
that is great. Thanks all of you for entering.
Keep pushing. You could score points. If you score points, of course, you go into the draw for the Nico Rosberg helmet.
From our friends at CM Helmets.
Absolutely. Please visit them, cmhelmets.com, and take a look at all of their good replica helmets that they have on offer.
Definitely.
See if they've got your favourite driver.
Or Cristiano de Matter.
Or Nico Rosberg.
or that Damon Hill one, which they're going to send me.
You keep trying this every week and nothing's turned up yet.
I know.
You got a customs receipt for something and you got hopeful that they were sending another one, but it
Yeah, I did.
didn't happen. It
No.
was just the customs bill for the first one.
I think it was.
So anyway, Belgium in the dry in the 92 Williams.
Which I enjoyed this challenge for a change.
I did when I finally got to grips with it this afternoon. In the room, Dan. No time.
DNS.
Oh, DNS.
Out of the remaining 3 of us, in third, Lee.
Hiya.
156.064. In second in the room, Chris. 155.847. I came top out of us lot again.
There you go. Well done, Paul.
You guys obviously aren't trying because I am terrible. 155.747. However, not enough for the points.
Really?
Yeah.
All outside the points.
All outside the points.
Which just goes to show how competitive it was.
And of course, the points go up to 20th place this year.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, with the Winter Series.
I'm gonna have my own version of who's a total shunt. Right. See if you can guess what driver I'm talking about.
Jeff.
From these clues.
Is in 11th place.
I came 21st.
Is it Ed Forsyth?
Yes.
Revenge is sweet.
Ed, that is us getting our own back on you for last week's total shunt, mate.
Ed Esteban Forsyth Gutierrez.
We've extended the points by another 10 places, and he still finishes one place outside them.
Oh dear.
Oh, that is that is something to behold. Okay, run up of all the points. 20th was Ronan Fuller. 19th, Wayne Hines. 18th, Reese Hyde. 17th was Paul Goodall. Lee Webster was 16th. Zach Wasson was 15th. He did send in another time after the cut-off, and I didn't look at it, so get your time in before the cut-off.
That's it. You got to.
Ian Beraz in 14th. Weitzer Camping 13th. Usual podium sitter Chris Olby in 12th.
Oh wow.
Occasional winner Simon Joy down in 11th. It's all mixed up this year.
It's getting tense.
Yeah. Chris Rowden only just made the top 10.
So who have we've got any familiar names in the top 10?
One or two. In 9th place, Freddie Brunner. 8th was Max Williams. 7th, Pete Bull. I nearly said 3rd because that's where he usually finishes.
Yeah, well, good effort, Pete. Well done.
6th was Travis Parker. And then we get into the top 5. With a time of 1:53.929 in 5th place, Bradley Chambers.
You know, that's a stunning time. 1:53.929.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well done, Bradley.
And they only get faster from there. 1:53.812. We sent an email to claim that it was definitely his real name, Ayrton Antonucci.
Nice.
An actual real name, hopefully named after Ayrton Senna.
You'd hope. You would
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah. Well done, Ayrton.
In 3rd place with a time of 1:53.593, Ollie Vestley.
In 3rd.
In 3rd.
Oh wow, Ollie Vestley, our favourite Norwegian, dropping down the leaderboard a little bit.
In 2nd, our regular winner, Jeff Sharp.
Well done, Jeff. Return to form.
361. And a debutant in 1st place.
Another debutant winner.
Another debutant winner on his first entry with a time of 1:53.117. Congratulations, Will Coates.
Congratulations, Will. That's a
well
brilliant time.
You have cleaned up on that one. Rightly, we want another circuit and another car.
So what circuits we've had so far? We've had Australia.
Had Australia, Canada, and Belgium so far.
Right. So we're going to have Monaco
Testing course.
in the wet. And we're going to do it in the 2006 Renault R26.
So Monaco in the wet in Alonso's 2006 Renault.
Yeah.
You got 2 weeks.
You have 2 weeks. You've got until the 29th of January, 7 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock Eastern time. That's for the benefit of Zach, who forgot and thought it was 2 o'clock Central time, which is an hour behind. It's not.
Oops.
So 1 o'clock Central time, 2 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock UK. If you're in Australia, yeah, good luck with that.
Just get it in the day before.
Yeah, probably Sunday at some point.
Google's your friend. Just find out.
I'll get these up on the website. They'll probably be already up by the time the podcast comes out. And best of luck.
Absolutely.
And
We've
if-
seen some great entries and some good times. So everybody who's got their name into the points, again, just to reiterate, they're in for the main Nico Rosberg prize. But we've also got other prizes available as well.
There will be other prizes available. We're in the process of getting those sorted out at the moment.
Yep.
Just falling a little bit behind with the prizes, but we'll be distributing vouchers of some description to top 3 drivers from these races as soon as is possible.
Sweet.
Right, we will be back next week. I'm looking forward to next week's podcast.
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 Can't wait for that Williams announcement.
Obviously, the Sirotkin announcement is due any time, and if it happens Tuesday morning, I'll record an extra bit. So we might have already announced that Sirotkin's a Williams driver.
Yeah.
And if we have, disregard this notice and listen to what Paul said earlier.
Yeah. So we'd either like to
Later.
say congratulations to Sergei Sirotkin on becoming the new Williams driver, or come on, Williams, when are you gonna make the announcement?
I read the other day as well that apparently...
Or George Russell. Who saw that coming?
well, he said he's got an announcement.
Yep, George Russell has a big announcement, so maybe we'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah.
I think it's that he's launching his own fragrance.
What?
It's already been announced. It's already been announced who he's driving for in GP2, isn't it?
Formula 2, he's going to be driving for ART.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't mind betting that he gets announced as the official Mercedes reserve driver.
You're probably right. Yeah, but it does seem strange, like plugging a big announcement when you've already done what you'd imagine would be the big announcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who knows?
We shall see.
Williams might be after some cheap engines again.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Ah, yeah, I never thought of it that way. We will see. Obviously, if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
You can.
You can tweet us at 3legs4wheels, or
At Flood21.
At Danbert.
I'm definitely at a total shunt.
and I'm at Pablo100. We're also on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/3legs4wheels. We're about on Instagram as well.
Give the Facebook page a like. Come and join it. We have some great conversations with like-minded F1 fans all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's come over and join the little community we got going on.
Yep. And if you have access to iTunes, give us a rating and a review.
Yeah,
please.
go give us. We haven't done the begging for reviews for a while, have we?
Doesn't matter how good the review is, just fill in the 5 stars and then write about what you think about us.
Or just one word. As long as you put
4 letters.
tits. just 5 stars and write tits.
I'll be looking out for that.
The reviews might get deleted if they write tits.
Yeah, do they have content filters on iTunes?
Put full stops between the letters.
Ah, right.
Very clever.
Yeah.
So this is the show.
Yeah. Also go and listen to Musty Audio and give me a 5-star rating for
That's
that
a
as well.
plug right
Plug,
there.
plug. Right, we'll see you next week.
We will indeed. Take care, people.
Bye-bye.
Bye.